Come show your glory. Come show your face. Come light a fire in us. Breathe on this place.
Hi everyone, Merry Christmas to your family. We want to let you know about some things coming up at the house and especially 4 ways for you to be a part of this church community. The first way is through Next Steps. If you're new or newer here, Next Steps is our process to help you become part of the community here at the house. We have 3 steps through our Next Steps process. Step 1 is our open house lunch, and that's a time for you to have lunch with some of our team. Step 2 is Mission and Vision, where we go over the mission, vision, and where we're going as a church community. And lastly, Step 3, the house is my home. And here you get to make the house officially your home church. We're offering Step 1 today. Right after service is open house lunch. Now, if you didn't RSVP, don't tell them I told you this, but you can still attend. Just go ahead and sneak in the library. Let one of our leaders know that you're there, and we would love to host you and get to meet you. The second way to be a part of our church community is through groups. Groups exist to help you grow and develop deeper community here at the house. Our next Connect Group season begins February of 2024, so go ahead and save that month, prepare for that. It's going to be an incredible time to really develop that deeper community. The third way to be a part of our community is through events. Events are our one-time experience to help inspire and encourage our church community. This December 9th, we will be hosting our very first Silence Retreat. In the midst of one of the most busiest months of the entire year, we're doing a special series titled Sabbath, a Christmas of Rest, and we wanted to specifically dedicate a time and a space for our church community to gather and to just be in the presence of God and to receive from Him in the busiest season of the year. More details online, but go ahead and save the date and we'll see you there. On December 10th, we are having a Kids Christmas Sunday. Yes, you heard that right. Our kids are going to be leading us in a couple of the cutest Christmas worship songs. So you're definitely going to want to mark your calendar, especially if you have little ones in the kids' church. Go ahead and invite your family and your friends. It's going to be a special Sunday. In preparation for the holidays and all of your Christmas planning, we wanted to let you know that Christmas Eve we'll be having 2 separate services. We'll have a 10 a.m. Christmas Eve service, and at 4 p.m. we'll have a candlelight family service. You can go ahead and invite your friends and family to these very special services that we will be hosting at our church. The fourth way to be a part of our church community is through classes. Classes exist to help you learn biblical principles to grow your faith. I'm excited to announce that come January 10th, for 4 Wednesdays, we're going to be going over the Gospels with Pastor Dana. You can go ahead and RSVP online under our Coming Soon page. You're not going to want to miss this. It's going to be amazing. We hope that you're enjoying this whole series as we're doing Sabbath, a Christmas of Rest. As you can see, there's many ways that we are trying to not only inspire, but to create moments and opportunities to help you grow in your faith. So we hope that all of these things that we're doing are inspiring and encouraging you. We love you. We'll see you guys next week.
Hey everyone, welcome to the house. My name is Wes. My wife Vanessa and I were the lead pastors here, and we just want to say thank you so much for joining us today. Big thank you to those of you you've liked, you've subscribed, you've shared, you've done all that. Thank you so much for doing that. I see it, and I just want to say thank you so much for doing that. If you're new to our channel, thank you so much for joining us. We're glad that you're here. If you have any questions about who we are, what we're about, or how to join us for a live in-person service, you can check out thehousela.org, and we'd love to see you for a live in-person service. We have those every single Sunday, and so you can check out service time, information, all of that at thehousela.org. Hey, it is officially December. Christmas time now for everyone. My family, we start Christmas back in November. but lots of people wait till after Thanksgiving to begin, celebrating Christmas. As you can see, I've got all my Christmas decor here. And so wherever you are, I just want to say Merry Christmas to you and your family. Hey, we're starting up today a brand new series called Sabbath, a Christmas of Rest. Sabbath, a Christmas of Rest. Christmas time for a lot of people is a time of excitement. It's a time of family. It's a time of enjoyment, opening up gifts. And for others, Christmas really represents a time of a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety, heightened just tightness in the body, and maybe not even sleeping that well, stressing over finances, stressing over who to get what gift. And did you give someone or did you not give someone a gift? And if you've ever experienced that awkward feeling of someone handing you a gift and then you have nothing to hand back to them, it's one of the most awkward Christmas experiences that you can have. And so we're talking about Sabbath, a Christmas of rest, because I don't think that Christmas has to be surrounded with anxiety. Christmas can be surrounded with a notion of rest. And today we're going to start with, and if you're taking notes, today's just called Stop. It's just called Stop. Advertisers are essentially selling you the Sabbath. Let me explain. Every object that they want to sell you, every object that they want you to buy, they're after your time, your attention, your finances, all of that. They're after this idea that we can give you what you want. One of my favorite Christmas advertisements is always like when someone comes home and there's this brand new Lexus in their driveway and it's got the big bow on it. Maybe you've seen these. And it's always like this beautiful, pristine background, this massive home. And every time I see those commercials, they've been doing it every year, pretty much as long as I've been alive. Every time I see it, I think to myself, what greater way to cause a fight or a divorce is show up and tell your spouse, I spent about 75 grand without asking you. Or maybe you've got it like that, you're at that level where he's like, oh yeah, where did I put that 75 grand? But you just show up and there's a brand new Lexus. There's a brand new car in the driveway with a big red bow on it. If you do that this year, God bless you, you are amazing. But the word Sabbath means this. In Hebrew, it means Shabbat. And if you're here in LA, that would be a phrase that you hear a lot because a lot of our friends and a lot of our neighbors, they do observe a Shabbat. On Friday afternoon, the sun is setting, and the moment that the sun sets, they are free from work for the next 24 hours. The word Shabbat means, it's a verb, it means to stop, to cease, or to be done. It's like that is it. That's the end. But you can't buy the Sabbath. You just need to pause. Matthew chapter 11, verse number 28, Jesus says this, "Come to me, all of you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, let me teach you, because I'm humble and gentle at heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy to bear, and the burden that I give you is light." Jesus talks about rest. Now, the late Eugene Peterson, he did a translation of the Bible called the Message translation, and it's a very poetic translation of the Bible, and he takes that same passage and he describes it as this: "Are you tired, worn out, burned out on religion? Come to me, get away with me, and you'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest. Walk with me, work with me, watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me, and you'll learn to live freely and lightly." If Jesus promised to give us rest, then why do so many people not have it? Why, in this time of year that we say, Jesus, he's the reason for the season, right? Right? He's the reason for the season. Why, in the middle of his birthday, for many people, why is it filled with anxiety instead of filled with the rest that he promises us? For many of us, our body is tired. Most of us watching this, we are suffering from low-grade exhaustion. Up until the modern age of electricity, people slept an average of 10 to 11 hours a night. I'm lucky if I get 7.5. It's like, man, I slept great. Many of you watching this, you're sleeping 5 to 6 hours a night. Our bodies are tired, but guess what? Our soul is also tired. 24 hours of news cycles. Every app is constantly asking you for a push notification. Like, hey, can I send you a note? Can I just reach out to you any time of the day? Anything might be happening that I think you need to know about? And there's almost a celebration or worship of, hey, did you hear the news? And being able to answer, yes, I heard it right away. Our souls are tired. And guess what? Our spirits are tired as well. It is a spiritual problem. You know, it's very difficult to love God, to love others, and to live out this Jesus life when you are exhausted. Some of my worst decisions that I've ever made were when I've been exhausted, whether physically or my soul is just worn out. No one's ever made really good eating decisions when you're exhausted physically or exhausted in your soul. No one goes, you know, man, I'm just so worn out. I'm just going to make myself a really big salad, maybe some roasted Brussels sprouts. No, I mean, you're going for a bowl of cereal, a pint of ice cream, you know, a massive plate of spaghetti. You're doing something like that. Some of our worst decisions happen when we are exhausted. You know, I like to keep my phone charged at 100%. When my phone starts getting low on charge, I get a little bit nervous. I don't know if you're like me, but I'm that way. I get in my car, I plug my phone right away. Even though my car charger doesn't quite charge like a normal charger, it's more of like an encouragement to my battery on my phone. Like, you can do it, man, you can do it. Now my wife, she's on the opposite end. Her phone can be at 3% and she does not have a care in the world. She's like, yeah, it's fine. And I'm like, I'm the one plugging her phone in. Like, hey, there might be an earthquake and you need to be prepared for these moments. Or what happens if someone calls and you need to talk to me? Like, hey, I guess maybe you might like that. I can't talk long. My phone's at 2% now, you know? But Sabbath is that practice, that weekly practice where we get to recharge our souls, our spirit, and our body. It's that moment to stop, to rest, to delight, and to worship. Now, if you want to look at the origins of Sabbath, you can go back to the very beginning of creation in Genesis chapter 2, when God creates the heavens and the earth. And then after he creates the heavens and the earth, he rests from his work and he blesses that day. And that day is called the Sabbath. Genesis chapter 2, verse number 1 says this, so the creation of the heavens and the earth and everything in them was completed. On the seventh day, God finished his work of creation. So he rested from all of his work. And God blessed the seventh day, declared it holy, because it was the day when he rested from all of his work of creation. God rested, God blessed. Even God rested, not because he was tired, but God rested just to pause and look at the work that he had done. If God rested, so should we. God created these holy rhythms in our life and in creation itself for us to have these pause moments, these up and down moments, these breathing in and breathing out moments. God created those rhythms in your body, in the world around us. We have day and then we have night. We have seasons. There's a push and a pull. The tide goes out and then the tide goes back in. God created these types of rhythms. H.H. Farmer says this, if you go against the grain of the universe, you get splinters. God created these rhythms for us to pause and to not run in that 24/7 cycle that we all celebrate so much. When you go into a 24/7 experience of life, where you're like, I'm always going, guess what? You're going to experience burnout. You're going to experience higher rates of stress than your body was meant to handle. You're going to experience sickness or a weak immune system. There was a time when I was trying to go really, really hard, and I kept getting sick like every 3 or 4 weeks. And I remember going, after a couple of times, I go, why? I just got over a cold. How am I getting a cold again? It's because I wasn't pausing. Sometimes you'll even experience a brain fog, frayed relationships, even distance from God. Some of you might be even praying like, hey, God, where are you? And God's like, hey, you just got to relax. You're running back and forth while maybe God's trying to get your attention. There's a study on those who practice the Sabbath, a full 24 hours. And we're going to get into what that practice actually looks like for us and how you might be able to even start that. But there's a practice of those, there was a study of those who had practiced the Sabbath. And they said, okay, we want to look at these people's lives. And what they saw was that on average, many of these people who had practiced this sort of life lived almost 11 years longer. So it's like they got every single one of those 24-hour days, they got them back at the end of their life. And not only that, the life that they had experienced was a life of so much less stress and anxiety. Exodus 20, verse number 8, is where God is giving his people the 10 Commandments. And he says this, remember to observe the Sabbath day by keeping it holy. You have 6 days each week for your ordinary work, but on the seventh day, that's a day of rest. That's a day that's dedicated to the Lord. On that day, no one in your household may do any work that includes your sons, your daughters, your male and female servants, your livestock, any foreigners living among you. We're going to get to that in a second. And in the 6 days that the Lord made the heavens, the earth, the sea, everything in them, but on the seventh day he rested. That is why the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and set it apart as holy. It's one of the 10 Commandments. And not only is it one of the 10 Commandments, it's one of the only commandments that we celebrate breaking. It's well, oh man, I haven't had a day off in 32 days. I've been going, man, you going hard? I'm going hard. Are you going hard? I've gone 32. Oh, I've got 32 days. I'm at 47 days straight. We hustle hard. We work hard. We go hard. It's one of the only commandments that we celebrate breaking. Can you imagine if someone's like, man, I've been lying every day for 47 days, and someone else one-ups them. 47 days. Dude, I've been lying for 365. I am so good at lying. We would all go, wait, why are you bragging about this? In our world, especially if you're here in LA, and there's like, and I love the hustle culture, but taken to an extreme, it can actually be something that's really negative. Those boundaries, those barriers that the 10 Commandments give us, they are meant to be guardrails of our soul. The Sabbath and that pause is not meant there to be just a taskmaster over your life, but to be a guardrail for your soul. Jesus said it like this in Mark chapter 2. He says, the Sabbath was made to meet the needs of people, and not people to meet the requirements of Sabbath. Basically saying, Sabbath was made for man. Man was not made for Sabbath. God didn't create you so that you can go and observe the Sabbath, but rather you and I, we need it. We need that pause. We need that stop in our life. We need that end of the day, end of the week, and just stopping in our life to say, this is enough. Back in that time, Jesus had to teach people, hey, the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. And it seems like today we've got it reversed, where we actually have to encourage people to stop. Stopping does this. Stopping reminds us that I am His and I am loved right where I am at. Some people might maybe be watching this and you're going, hey, Wes, that sounds great. But if I stop, I'll lose my job. And if I lose my job, I lose my house. If I stop, I lose my status in our company. I'm known as a person who actually, my usage rate in our company is 127%, and I'm gonna make a managing director this year. And so if I stop, I might not make that. I'm just encourage you, if you don't stop, you might not make it at all. You might make that position, but you might lose your soul. You might get that raise, but at what cost? It might cost you your family. You might make that job or that 127% usage rate or whatever it is that you're aspiring to. You might make it, but you might lose something that's far greater of value. when we stop, we remind ourselves, I do not need to perform to be loved by God. I can just stop, take a breath, and know that I am loved by God. My challenge to you this week is to create a pause or a stop. Now, the Sabbath for our church, and maybe if you're watching this and you're considering being a part of our community, my challenge to you is you might not stop with a 24-hour gap. You might stop with a 1-hour gap. Maybe you're a single parent or you have to do double shifts and things like that to make it all work. Just find even a 1-hour gap of this is where I'm going to stop and just relish in God's presence. Just be in God's presence. For some of you, it might be a half day. Some of you, it might be a full 24-hour period that you might be able to do. If you have young children, it might not be a full 24 hours. Sometimes when my wife and I, when we practice this time, it's actually a Sabbath until the kids get home or until they wake up. That's when it's like, well, it's not quite the Sabbath that I would choose, but that's okay. My challenge to you this week is to find a moment where you can stop and where you can pause. It's not just a dedicated time, it's a way of viewing our week. Because Sabbath and that pause is one of the keystone habits that affects all other habits in your life. In this Christmas season, instead of running around from anxiety to anxiety, from stress to stress, and even from party to party, in the midst of all of that, don't forget to stop. Jesus, thank you for my friends who are watching this video right now. I pray that this is going to be their best Christmas season ever because they have the Sabbath. They have that pause right at the middle of it. In Jesus' name, amen. Hey friends, thank you so much for joining us today. I can't wait to see you back next week as we continue on this series of Sabbath, a Christmas of rest. Big thank you to those of you who have joined us in your generosity by giving online. We cannot do what we do if it wasn't for God's blessing, but also if it wasn't for your help. Even this online platform that we are able to do, we can't even continue this without your help. So even if it's a $5, a $20, $5,000, whatever it would be, you can check out thehousela.org. And you want to make sure that you get that gift in now before the end of the year if you want that to count for your taxes. So God bless you. Thank you so much for joining us in that journey of generosity. I look forward to either seeing you back next week here online or for one of our live in-person services. We'll see you soon.